What is fear? What do we fear? What does fear look like? What is it made of? The human condition makes us sensitive beings, experiencing the world through sensations, reading our surroundings through the emotions they awaken, among them, fear. This was meant to be an academic journey through my thesis, yet, can we separate the work from the maker? Christian the designer reflects Christian the person, and the truth is, I'm full of fears. Throughout the project, I confronted them again and again. These fears returned in different forms at different stages, including the very real fear that this video may run a little longer than planned. My apologies in advance. This journey is as much as about me as it is about design. Understand the project, the site, its context, surroundings, challenges, and variables, and how I can face them. I arrived in London with a strong sense of safety. Everything felt utterly clean, almost like in the movies I had seen. But something changed the first time I walked down Church Street. There was a tension in the air, unsettling, strangely familiar in the wrong way. Suddenly, I felt like in a Colombian street again. That moment stayed with me. It became the spark of this project. But where to begin? I started asking what security really means, what makes people feel safe on the streets, and how can design contribute to that feeling? Would more cameras help? More guards? Or perhaps a more beautiful street to make people feel comfortable? Each time I walked through Church Street, searching for clues, I heard my mother's voice in my head telling me, "No de papaya." Literally, it translates "don't give papaya," but in Colombia, it really means don't make yourself vulnerable, don't expose yourself, don't become an easy target. That phrase became the project's name, "Don't Give Papaya." Yet, when I explained it, people struggled to understand. The meaning was lost in translation, and the question remained, how can I make people feel safe on the streets? I began researching, reading articles, watching the news, observing how theft and snatching were rising across London. What I found is the feeling of safety is not fixed. It's deeply personal, shaped by our experiences, always subjective, but beneath it all, one constant remained: fear. Then the question flipped. What if instead of making people feel safe, I make them feel unsafe on purpose? The project became less about comfort and more about confrontation. I wanted to use fear as a spatial material, making passersby aware, exploring how unease might itself serve as a protective spatial tool. But how can I translate this into design without weakening its meaning? How can I give fear a tangible form so people can truly feel it? I have always been easily scared. By choice, I have avoided anything meant to frighten me. I can be like a chicken running at the slightest sound. Yet, if my goal was to make others feel fear, I needed to understand it at the source. That's when I turned to body horror. The human body distorted to the point of being unsettling. But if the human form is familiar, what does its distortion unsettle us? Myths have long demonized the form. Instincts like symmetry withheld. Empathy makes us fear pain, illness, and suffering. Our minds struggle when what we expect doesn't match what we see. Body horror shows us the fragility and vulnerability of the human form. From there, I turned to the architectural layer connected to the body, its scale and street. Street furniture, often overlooked, yet powerful enough to shape how we interact, experience space, and relate to the city. It can make us pause, move, or avoid. It can light the way or block it entirely. I began by analyzing the human body, its form, structure, and layers, and merging these ideas with street furniture. I experimented with materials like hair, bones, and distorted anatomy, aiming to create objects that felt like a body, but not a comfortable one. How could I materialize these ideas digitally and physically? My software knowledge wasn't enough. I needed to visually illustrate distorted human bodies, so I learned how to use video AIs. I wanted to sculpt organic, almost human forms, so I taught myself digital sculpting in Nomad. I also needed to model parametric 3D elements, which led me to explore Grasshopper. To visualize these objects in the real-world context before building them, I explored augmented reality. The next challenge was physical translation. The human body richness lies in its layers, skeletal, muscular, and skin. So I translated this into materials, 3D printing for skeletal fragments. I had to learn how to weave rattan to represent the muscular system and experimented layering latex with hair for skin. I had never worked with these techniques before, but the project demanded. Each step pushed me to explore new methods to bring the vision to life. I wanted to build a 3 meters object, part street lamp, part body, and bring it to life like Frankenstein with his creature. Perhaps I was too ambitious or too stubborn. Conversations with tutors helped, often in a very honest ways. At one point, it was suggested that it might not be the design itself, but my ego pushing me to build a 3 meters object just for the sake of the scale. So I shift approach. Instead of the whole piece, I focus on a section so detailed and precise that even a smaller size it could still carry the same intensity. Yet, my stubbornness still wanted to scale. A 3 meters hybrid of body and street furniture would have an unsettling presence. That tension gave birth to Beware of His Shadow, referenced in the 1922 film Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. The installation explored with the scale, shadows, sounds, projections, and a smoke machine I wasn't allowed to use. A projector cast a looping video of Church Street by day and night. In front of it, a 1:5 scale model stood on a plinth. Its shadow stretched onto the projection, nearly 3 meters, giving a sense of encountering it on the street. In that moment, the object truly came to life. Throughout this project, I tested materials chosen to unsettle, to disturb, and generate discomfort. Yet, they were not meant to be on the street. They could not survive the rain, cold, or time. But what if they could? What if the skeletal system, now PLA, became cast metal? The muscular system, once rattan, evolved into braided wire. The skin, once latex, hardened into formed metal sheets. And what if the 3 meter street lamp, part body, part object, continued to grow, expanded into something larger, partially alive, partially dead, part humanoid, part building, a presence that blurs where the body ends and the building begins, almost like a watchful figure, a sentinel or a predator, feeding on the fear of the next passerby. This project became a mirror, not only of the city, its streets, tensions and rhythm, but also of myself, my fears, curiosities, doubts and obsessions. Who am I? What kind of designer I am? And what kind of designer do I want to become? What I'm afraid of? And how do I face it? Through this process, I have realized that design doesn't have to make people comfortable to be meaningful. It is not just about solving problems or making things function. It is about people and making them feel, even if what they feel is fear.